The idea of the machine as the central paradigm, you see, I think the problem of the last 300 years of mechanistic science has been to assume that the only valid form of thinking about nature is to use machine metaphors. Previously, you see, people had always used organic metaphors. You used the metaphor of organisms, of animals, of plants, of trees, of people, of families. These are the kinds of metaphor that permeate all traditional thinking. They're the stuff of myth and of poetry. Since the 17th century, there's been an attempt to substitute in rational scientific thinking a single source of metaphor, namely man-made machinery, as the only valid source of thinking about nature. I think it's an intensely anthropocentric thing to do. It takes a particular one aspect of human activity, a very recent one also, and projects this human obsession with machinery onto the whole of nature. So then the question is, are we ourselves machines? And that people were machines, but with this rational mind, a God-given rational mind somewhere inside the head, that controlled the machinery. Well, this Cartesian dualism has been the dominant model in the West ever since the 17th century. And the main way that people try to deal with it is by denying that there is anything autonomous about the rational mind. The materialist wants to say, well, we're machines just like everything else in nature. And so then you have to explain the thinking, conscious mind. So then you have to say, well, we're intelligent, thinking, conscious machines. But there aren't any intelligent, thinking, conscious machines. So then you have to say, well, then we'll invent them just to prove that we're intelligent, thinking, conscious machines. And so this is the striving for artificial intelligence, to make intelligent, thinking, conscious machines, the ultimate purpose of which is to prove that we're nothing but machines. Well, since machines are made by people in the first place, it seems to me such a futile, and it's like a dog chasing its tail. It seems to me an entirely futile exercise, and I can't get very engaged with this entire quest to try and prove through enormous intellectual convolutions, through frightfully clever arguments, that we're nothing but machines, by imagining that our brains are some kind of self-programming computer of a type that doesn't actually exist, but of which we're promised there will be examples at some time in the future. The problem you see with materialists is that we're not thinking machines, and there are no thinking machines. And so they have to keep pretending that they will exist. They can have computers, can play chess and so on. At some time in the future there will be this amazing thinking machine. Well, then of course the question is, how do we decide whether it's fully conscious or not? And this of course gives philosophers you can write many tons of books on this subject because it's hard to prove that even another person is conscious, let alone a machine. So there's so many philosophical problems here. There's enough mileage in this for philosophers to go on for centuries more arguing about these particular questions. But I just don't think it's a very fruitful or fertile debate. And I think the problem is, you see, that if you say that we're like computers, we're self-programming computers, you've still got the bit that does the programming. There's the computer model is inherently dualistic. The software is like the mind, the hardware is like the brain or the body. And it keeps landing on back in the same old Cartesian dualism in one way or another. I don't see that it takes us beyond it. And of course the idea of thinking of the brain as a computer is just a way of trying to update the machine metaphor, to use the latest technology.